Thanks everybody for sticking around. It's thinned out a little, but this is going to be super exciting, so I hope you guys are ready. Tag 2013 EIS is the hashtag. We haven't used it that much so far, but please tweet your questions and please tweet the gems that you hear up here today. There's a lot of people that are following it that couldn't afford the lunch and the ticket, so let's share the wealth. My name is Jesse Lindsley. I'm the CEO of Thrust Interactive. Thrust Interactive is a game studio here in town. We've been making games and apps for the last 10 years. I've had the pleasure of working with, calling these guys mentors, friends, colleagues for a long time. I buy them lunch as often as I can to get gems, and so I'm just going to ask questions and really get out of the way. I've picked 5 topics that I want to cover today, and each one of them said that they could talk on. Each one of them said they could talk about each one of the topics for the entire time. So I will limit them and share the wealth. But I just want the guys to talk. Just take real quickly. Tell us what you guys are doing. These are 5 founders of companies. These are the leaders of the digital media and gaming space. I know that the theme of this was emerging leadership. That's why I picked these guys. I picked 5 topics I wanted to talk about, and these would be the guys that I would pick to tell us, to share their knowledge. So let's do a quick round of introductions, and then we'll go from there.
Hi, my name is Paul Jenkins. I'm the founder of The Fiction Farm. I have worked for 25 years in the entertainment business. Created the origin of Wolverine for Marvel. I was a second employee of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've created games like Prototype and so on for Sony and Vivendi. So I am the guy who is the living embodiment of the disgusting phrase transmedia. I'm the guy that does all of that kind of stuff. And currently, I'm chairing an advisory committee for Governor Deal. I'm trying to understand how we can build the video game industry here in Georgia and look at the tax incentives and the various pieces of legislation so that we can keep it going and perhaps build it even further.
Hey everyone, I'm David Eckoff. I'm co-founder of Pickoff Sports, and we are building a social games platform for sports teams and leagues. I've been doing online sports for the past 15 or 20 years. And before that, I was vice president for product development at Turner Broadcasting. I worked for big companies, mid-sized companies like Real Networks in Seattle, at startups where my garage served as the headquarters with a cardboard box as my desk. So I've done a little bit of everything. But my startup recently went through the Flashpoint Accelerator program at Georgia Tech, and I'll share with you some of the things that I learned from that. And we'll turn it over
to Gil Weinberg. I'm talking about Georgia Tech. I'm the founding director of Georgia Tech Center for Music Technology. So I'm still a professor, but I also co-founded 2 companies. Actually, one company I founded, the other co-founded. ZOOZ Mobile is a company that we're currently focusing on. We do musical games. We started musical creation, moved into musical game. We have another company that actually develops small robots that works on iPhones that you can interact with. It's called Tovbot.
Yeah, Gil in this space is a rock star. He's been on the Colbert Report. Once you're on the Colbert Report, you have arrived. His TED Talks are amazing, so definitely go home and Google his TED Talks. Jeff?
Oh, awesome. I'm Jeff Hillemeyer. I am a co-founder of a company called Dragon Army. Dragon Army is brand new. It's day 4. We're a mobile app studio, so we're going to be building mobile apps and games over at the Atlanta Tech Village. Before that, for 15 years, I had a digital marketing agency and ran that, and we sold that a month ago. And so I come more from the side of the digital media side of the house, working with brands like Coca-Cola and Chick-fil-A on their mobile executions and games, and I'm excited to build products for you guys now.
So Jeff started Spun Logic here in town 10 years ago, sold it to Engage, stayed on and ran it until they sold it to Publicis Group. So a huge coup, and this was just announced 2 weeks ago, so very cool.
My name is Blake Lewin. I am president of Atlanta Game Cooperative. Atlanta Game Cooperative is my new venture in order to bring work to the talented group of people that are here in Atlanta. The goal of the cooperative is really to bring in the work, put together teams, and have flexible work time so that people can be making money in the industry and then working on their own creative endeavors. Before that, I was at Trans Gaming Digital Media. We built a smart TV game distribution system, and then before that, 16 years at Turner Broadcasting, doing a lot of stuff 18 bosses in 16 years, so that pretty much says it all.
He founded a little property at Turner called GameTap, so very cool. We're super happy that Blake is staying here in town and bringing projects to Atlanta. Super cool. So one of the themes of this conference, of this summit, is convergence. So I think it should be the first topic that this group covers. It means something different to each one of us, and I want each one of you guys to take a stab at it. But Paul, like you led off and you talked about whether you call it transmedia, whether you call it cross-platform, it is the spillover of how we are consuming our entertainment. You can't, nothing that we build at Thrust, no one's asking for one platform. It has to be cross-platform. It has to be something that I may launch it on one platform, but then I'm going to leverage those assets. I'm going to extend that experience. I'm going to reach out to where those users are. I'm not going to make them come to me. So it's a really special time. It's a confusing time. It's a daunting time. We have to support so many platforms, but from a writer perspective, it's got to be super exciting to you.
Well, one of the things that's going on right now is that we are having to redefine our definition of what storytelling is and what entertainment is. Is there a story in a movie? Of course there is. Is there a story in a book? Of course there is. Is there a story in a video game? Well, that has become debatable. How much story is there when you go off and create your own experience? But the truth is that story lives in all forms of entertainment, because what story is it's an atmosphere. It's a visceral reaction that we have to stimuli. So if we're pressing buttons or going through a game, it's just as much story as anything else. So what I've learned is that over the course of my career, I've had an opportunity to tell story across all media. I've done it in comic books, a lot of them. I've done it in video games. I've done it in film, animation. And I believe that there's also an aspect of things like augmented reality that we're about to do. These are going to be storytelling methods. And where there's a very, very big missing piece is that we don't bring all of these storytelling methods together into our intellectual property. What we really should be doing is designing intellectual property that is intended to be a film, a game, a piece of animation, a book, and do them all at the same time. That's kind of like my bailiwick. I love to design all of that stuff. But what we found is that the film industry has a difficult time trying to collaborate with the video game industry in terms of how long it takes to develop this stuff. If a film takes 2 years and a video game takes 3 years, how do you bring them all to market at the same time? I think that the problem is, if you don't do that, we've left a ton of money on the table because we're not developing it out together. So my huge goal is to do that. I live in this town by choice. I have had opportunities to live in LA. When we did the Ninja Turtles, we lived in Northampton, Massachusetts. But this is the place, Atlanta, Georgia, and the state of Georgia, where we have Georgia Tech, Savannah College of Art and Design, we have Turner, we have filmmaking capabilities, especially with the success that we've seen lately. We have game companies that are growing and growing and growing. We have all kinds of people that can do this. This is the place that could actually step into that void. That's what I truly believe. And so that's why I've made my home here, and I want to see it built here in Georgia.
I think before in the music panel, they were talking about legal deals and mentioning that whatever new medium will come up is covered, but even though you don't know what it is. I think there are many new media that are coming right now where stories and many different kind of content we'll have to start to deal with right now. How would Ninja Turtle will look on Google Glass or on the new robotic entertainment devices that are starting to get into them, or maybe even the watch that should have come 2 days ago from Apple but didn't. I think there's a convergence is growing exponentially, and we're going to have more and more devices.
I think the one thing of talking about convergence is not to confuse it with a mashup, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we talk about digital convergence, nobody really knows what they're talking about and just thinks that, oh yeah, the same story is going to be played on a video game and on a movie and in a book or whatever. But to me, that's not really convergence. All that is just different expressions of the story. If we really want to use this technology and create new experiences, which we are able to do, we got to think beyond just repackaging media. And so that's just my own little pet peeve with the whole convergence issue, is that really, when I'm playing Angry Birds on my iPhone, I really don't need to watch the feature film. So.
So I think it's interesting, people talk about second screen experiences, and probably for 2 years, we were chasing that second screen complementary extension of whether you're watching TV or like you said, you're playing it and I need to watch it somewhere else. And after a lot of failed implementations, we came to the conclusion that when people have one experience, they really want to multitask. They don't want that experience extended. They really they want less, not more. So that's a challenge, but I think knowledge is power. People are multitasking. People are, I have the TV up. I have 2, pads or tablets. I'm checking my phone. If I don't have all those things at my disposal, I'm not comfortable, right? So we have to embrace that, and whether that means, we're purposely making things simpler, or we're watering down that experience, or really just fighting to make it so complicated and so immersive that you're only engaged in one, I think would also be naive. But anybody want to tackle experiences there?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. One of my favorite examples of convergence, we didn't call it convergence, I don't think it had a name like that,
right,
was a project I worked on at Real Networks in Seattle with CBS Television. You know the Big Brother television show, reality TV? They got a bunch of people in a house, cameras on them all the time. And then a couple of times per week, they show the highlights, the lowlights of the things that went on. And the passionate audience, the people, they're in I don't know how many seasons they've done this. And we created a complementary product to go along with it that took the cameras that were going 24/7 in the house, and then we displayed 4 of those cameras to the consumer. They could watch 24 hours a day. They could be voyeurs, seeing everything that's happening in the house live. And you could see all the things that they don't let you show on TV. And so these people ate it up like cereal. They really love this. And then you could see not only everything that was going on, you could see it was like security cameras. You could see like the quad cam. You could switch to camera 1, camera 2, 3, 4. Or you could see all 4. And then there are chat rooms for each one. So as you were watching live, you could chat with other fans who had similar passion. And you say oh my God, I can't believe he just did X, whatever it is they talked about. Crazy stuff that they do. And you say why would anyone want to do that? But it's just incredibly voyeuristic. The people who were fans of the TV show wanted to be able to stay immersed in that whole experience 24/7, and we let them do that. They liked this so much that we were able to charge for that $12.95 per month, and we made multi-millions. And one of the things I think that's important for that, it's not just a online experience. If you just create an online experience, that's not, you don't have the distribution to be able to sell it. But the fact that, when I negotiated the deal with CBS Television, we negotiated promotion along with it. So every episode, Julie Chen, the host, would say, watch Big Brother 24/7 live, and here's how to sign up. And they drove a lot of traffic of the most passionate fans. So I think that there are a lot of things that don't work out so well in that space, but that's my favorite example of something that just worked tremendously. So I'd say look for something where you have passionate fans, whether it's sports, reality TV shows, and you can really build something interesting along with that.
Well, Jeff, I'm not going to let you off the hook. I want you to talk about, for you, and many years it was about maybe the web leading a campaign, but a campaign had to have multiple touch points. So I assume that's going to be what you're going to be leveraging as you go and look at distribution of games and apps, and what are those different touch points for that marketing and distribution and that brand awareness and those different launch campaigns.
Yeah, well, and piggybacking on David's comment, I think one of the great examples of kind of a company looking at all the different touch points they have with a customer is Chick-fil-A. So you start with a passionate, loyal fan base, and they've done a lot of great things with Facebook and web and email, and it's all working well together. But that holy grail was, how do we capture people when they get into the restaurant, and how do we take that relationship and extend it? And Chick-fil-A is really careful about sticking true to who they are and their story and the relationship that they want to have with their customers. So now, actually, if you go to the Terminus building right around the corner, they're piloting a mobile ordering system that we help them develop, where you can walk in, you can sit down, you can order from your seat, and in a couple of minutes, they'll bring your food right to you, and you pay through the phone. Well, suddenly, you now have an ability to first, it makes the experience better. They're all about convenience and comfortability. So you go in and maybe you've got your 3 kids with you and you don't want to stand in the long line, so you sit and do that. At the same time, what they now know is how often you're coming into the restaurant and what you're ordering, and if your ordering habits change, and they can start tailoring different messages to you, and they can now connect that to your Facebook posts or your Instagram posts. But they do it in a way that they're not pushing coupons. They don't do that, but they try to enhance the experience. They also now are looking at a loyalty program where they're taking their most passionate fans and they're giving them a swipe card where they're going to be swiping. And once you get to 10, suddenly you're in this program where you get you can work with the operator of that Chick-fil-A and get a behind-the-scenes tour or something. And so they're basically taking all these ways that they can interact with a customer and building upon that so that you really feel like this is a place that is your Chick-fil-A and not just another fast food restaurant. So it's a lot of those experiences that we're looking at Dragon Army of taking that and saying, all right, how can we not just make a game or how can we not just make an app, but can we make it useful for people in every area that it should be useful? But at the same time, we don't want to be disruptive. We don't want to throw ads in front of people. So there's a lot of learnings from brands like Chick-fil-A that we're able to take and I think build into the initial ecosystem of this company.
Yeah, very cool. All right, second topic. I want to talk about innovation. So we're going to start with Gil, being a professor, being a founder of a lab that if you ever have the opportunity to go to the music lab at Georgia Tech, I completely recommend it. You will be entertained beyond belief. So, we'll start with scholastic research and development, and you've obviously shown how that can become companies and that can become, things that you're actually incubating. But I really want you to focus on innovation, R&D, how we get there, how you get there, and then we'll let everybody else chime in.
Sure. So I think especially in the world of games and recreational games, and not maybe serious gaming for video games, we all know the phenomena where you have a game that is very sexy for a while and then it drops down. When we released our first game on the App Store, in the App Store it's really accentuated. We got to number 7 in the App Store, but after 3 weeks we were somewhere down. It was called ZOOZ. It allowed you to create music by moving your phone and shaking your phone. There wasn't a lot of research in terms of basic research, something unique. And I think in order to create something that would last, this is what you need. So, and that was back there in 2008. And what I decided to do, in addition to my research, which was more basic research that cannot necessarily immediately become a product, which is what we do in the academia, to also apply for an NSF SBIR, which is, and the National Science Foundation allows for small companies to get some research funds, and if you show that you have interesting and sustainable and unique and high-risk research plan, they will give you some money to try to create something that will become a product. And we didn't release this product based on this SBIR yet, but what we did there is something much more serious. We went and started to analyze a huge database of music in a way that we didn't know if it's successful. That's what makes it interesting, because it can fail big time, but if it's successful, it's something that can really change experiences. And we know now, based on analysis of songs, we can know the beat, we can know the chord progression, we can know, we even started to do some source separation, so we can separate between the bass and the maybe some high-frequency voice and so on. And it was based on research in what's called MIR, Music Information Retrieval, a lot of DSP, something that is serious, and we had a couple of patents. So once you have a patent, it makes it much easier later to license it. And actually, we licensed some of our technologies that was patented to Coke. And if you saw the app that they came up with for the Olympics, where you shake your phone and remix music, this was something that they actually licensed a patent from us. And the new patent that I just mentioned, the new technology we developed, we're going to come up with a game, hopefully within a month, actually working with Rust on that, that will allow you to use big data. I believe big data is usually only has been discussed so far in business context, but I think big data in game can be very interesting. And if we know a lot about all the music that there is out there in the iTunes, and know not only because of the metadata, but know because we actually can analyze the music, we can create games that will allow you through experimentation and challenge actually to discover music that you didn't know about and to get all kind of personalized experience with your music. And hopefully within a month or so, we'll have the tunes games that will experiment and show some of the research over there.
Yeah, I'm innovating. I mean, Atlanta Game Cooperative was a different way to take a look at innovation. When I was at Turner, I was continually looking at interactive TV. I've got a lot to talk about that, but we'll save that for another topic. The thing about the cooperative was trying to take innovation at a different level. I'd always been looking at the product and about the consumer experience. With Atlanta Game Cooperative, really the innovation is how I'm structuring the business. So the business is about, and it took me a while to kind of wrap my head around the idea that I had a couple guys working for me, and they quit, and they said, well, I've saved up enough money, and now I can go make the game that I wanted to make. And of course, 6 months later, they were out of money and had to come back and either get a job somewhere else or whatever. And it was a shame because, I mean, everybody in games, everybody wants to create their great work, just like in music or anything else. But you need money coming in to live. So the idea behind the cooperative really is, and I got it from watching a very unusual source, so I'll take a little sidestep, is Ray and Charles Eames. Talk about innovation. They were an amazing design couple in the 50s and the 60s, and they made a little movie that's one of my favorite movies called Powers of 10, where you start with a couple on the beach and you go back Powers of 10. Anyhow, geeky thing, but it's great. Look it up on YouTube. But they had invented this chair that was very popular, and the chair just brought in money. The licensing of the chair and the money came in, and they were able to do whatever they wanted because they had this revenue stream coming in from the chair. So the idea behind the cooperative is for me to get that business, and the business is the chair, and as the revenue flows in, people can come in, form groups, do the work, make their money, and then go and work on what they really want to work on. And when they run out of money, they can come back in. So anyhow, it seems a little kumbaya, but it's working so far. But that to me is the innovation. It was a different way of even me thinking about innovation.